Am I the antagonist for exposing my friend's cheating husband? Around a week ago, a group of my coworkers and I were having a casual lunch and chatting about our lives. One of my coworkers, who we'll call Jane, 34 female, who recently joined our company, shared that she has been dating a guy for a while and thinks they will be making their relationship official soon. She was really excited talking about him. Another coworker asked Jane if she had any pictures of him. Initially, she hesitated and said he doesn't like having his picture taken. Eventually, she showed us a picture of him on her phone, and when I saw it, I couldn't believe my eyes. It was Mark, 42 male, who happens to be the husband of my friend Sarah, 39 female. I was completely shocked and confused. After some questioning, I found out that Mark and Jane have been seeing each other for almost a year, and were actually high school sweethearts who coincidentally reconnected. After lunch, I impulsively decided to confront Mark. We spoke on the phone and I told him everything about Jane. He admitted to seeing Jane behind Sarah's back and said it was a recent fling. He promised to end things with Jane and work on his marriage with Sarah. He pleaded with me not to tell Sarah, as he wanted to fix things himself. Reluctantly, I agreed, hoping he would follow through and end things with Jane or tell Sarah about the affair. However, I later discovered that Mark hadn't kept his word. He was still involved with Jane, betraying them both. Furthermore, Jane doesn't know that Mark is married because he never told her. So at this point, both women are unaware that Mark has been two-timing them. Feeling caught in the middle and seeing that Mark broke his promise, I believe Sarah deserved to know the truth. I informed her about the affair and Mark's ongoing involvement with Jane. Sarah was devastated and confronted Mark, which led to a heated fight, police involvement, and eventually her request for a divorce. Now things have become extremely dramatic within our friend group. Some mutual friends are angry at me and blame me for causing the collapse of what seemed like a good marriage. There's a lot of hostility towards me within our friend group, and it's straining our relationships. To make matters worse, Mark's mother even reached out to me, expressing her anger and frustration. She didn't hold back, using harsh words to describe my actions. She called me a bitch and a homewrecker, even though I had no involvement in Mark's cheating. So, in summary, am I the one to blame for exposing my friend's cheating husband and potentially causing a divorce? Should I have stayed out of it completely? Or did I do the right thing by revealing the full extent of Mark's betrayal? Edit. Thank you to everyone who commented and assured me that I am not the one to blame. I'd been feeling guilty about this whole situation for the past 10 days, but I won't anymore. Thank you so much. Also, for those mentioning the age gap between Jane and Mark and how it doesn't make sense, I acknowledge that it doesn't add up. Maybe Mark lied about their history or Jane gave me misinformation about her age. However, I'm leaning towards Mark lying because he is a cheater and a terrible liar. You made a responsible decision by leaving the chili on simmer for a short period of time while you quickly ran to the store for missing ingredients. It is common practice to leave simmering foods unattended for short periods like this. You also took into consideration the safety of your pet parrot, which shows that you were mindful of any potential hazards. Your roommate's girlfriend overreacted and her behavior was inappropriate. It seems like she is the one unable to take accountability for her own actions and is displaying an entitled attitude. Am I the antagonist for fighting with my wife because she opened my birthday gift without permission and continues to use it? I am a 33-year-old female and I have an older brother named Danny who is 37 years old. We aren't very close, but we also aren't distant from each other. When we were growing up, the 4-year age gap made me the bratty little sister, but now that we're adults and both married, life just gets in the way. We meet up with our parents and significant others once or twice a month for dinner, as we all live within a half hour of each other. My husband and I have 3-year-old triplets, and sometimes we get a sitter for a much-needed night out without the kids, depending on where we're going. This past weekend, we met up with the family on Saturday night for dinner at a fancy steakhouse, and my husband and I decided to leave the kids at home. A few months ago, my brother was arrested for driving while intoxicated, DWI, and took a plea. He is currently on probation, and one of the requirements is to use an at-home breathalyzer at scheduled times determined by the probation office. I don't know the exact number of times per day this occurs, but one of them is apparently at 8 p.m. every evening. We were in the middle of dinner when my brother suddenly interrupted my husband, saying he had to leave in 15 minutes to meet this requirement. I didn't respond and went back to my dinner. I didn't realize he was expecting a response, but apparently that was the wrong decision. Danny looked at me and asked if I heard him. I said yes and apologized for not realizing it required a response. He audibly sighed and called me selfish for not being more compassionate about the plate of shit life handed to him. I got a little irritated, but in order to keep the peace since we were having a nice dinner, I just said okay, and that we'll see him next time. After Danny and my sister-in-law left, he texted me and my husband multiple times. My parents and I stayed behind to finish our food. He called me an asshole and was apparently furious that the rest of the family didn't leave when he and my sister-in-law did. One of his texts mentioned that I lacked empathy for his situation. I got angry and responded that he is dealing with the consequences of his poor decision-making, and I didn't want my night ruined because he now has a curfew to follow. My husband and I both work full-time and don't get many nights without the kids, so it's refreshing to have some alone time. Since Saturday, both my brother and sister-in-law have sent multiple texts accusing me of being an asshole over this situation. I personally don't feel like I did anything wrong, but my mom asked me to apologize in order to keep the peace with the holidays approaching. So, am I the asshole? Not the antagonist, not the asshole. It is understandable that you feel disappointed and irritated in this situation. Your wife agreed to let you order the AirPods as your birthday gift, and it is disappointing that she decided to use them before you had the chance to enjoy unboxing and using them yourself. Additionally, she has been using them for 10 days despite the conversation you had. It is reasonable for you to feel that the gift has lost its specialness and excitement. However, it is important to communicate your feelings to your wife calmly and have an open discussion about how this affected you. Am I the antagonist for giving my neighbor a letter and running away? I, a 27-year-old female, moved into my husband's house right after we got married a year and a half ago. The house, located 4 meters away from ours, is occupied by several people. A couple, most likely in their 60s. Their 2 children, 1 son-in-law, and their 4 grandchildren, ages ranging from 1-8. Meanwhile, my husband and I live alone. They wake up at around 5-6 in the morning. Given that we are in an Asian country with small properties and no yard space between homes, their living area extends to the street. They do their laundry there and spend time outside, especially the children who play in the street. What bothers me is that the adults, particularly the grandma, shout at the children whenever they misbehave, leading to the children crying. Additionally, even when they talk to each other, their voices are loud. On 2 occasions, they have started their car and motorcycle, allowing the children to honk on the horns for entertainment. This happened once at 5:30 and another time at around 6:30 in the morning. My husband grew up in this noisy house, so he is already accustomed to it. I have complained to him multiple times about talking to the neighbors, but he wants to avoid causing drama. I'm a very shy person. I always avoid eye contact by looking down when I walk, and I struggle to handle confrontations because I tend to cry easily. The motorcycle incident, which occurred 2 days ago, was the final straw for me. However, since I cannot handle confrontations, I decided to print out a letter expressing my concerns. I will post it separately due to character limits. To avoid just giving them the letter, I also gave them a box of donuts before heading to work. After handing them the donuts and telling the grandma I had something for her, I ran away. I ran until I was outside the village. I'm not sure why I did that. I simply dislike talking to people and I might have started crying. I'm socially awkward. So am I the asshole for giving my neighbor a letter and running away? Giving them a letter expressing your concerns is a reasonable way to address the issue, even if you prefer not to have a confrontation in person. Offering the box of donuts was a thoughtful gesture, even if they didn't appreciate it. Your neighbor's response was dismissive and showed a lack of understanding. It's important for them to respect your need for a peaceful living environment. However, you might want to consider talking to your husband about finding a compromise or seeking alternative solutions to improve the situation, such as soundproofing or mediation. Am I the antagonist for having a baby with the same man my cousin adored before she married my ex? It has been a difficult year in 2023. To provide some context, I recently moved to a different country to be with my wife and celebrated my first birthday away from friends and family. My wife travels frequently for work. I am currently unemployed in this new country, and I am not fluent in the local language, which adds to the challenges. Last week was my birthday, and my parents were insistent on giving me a nice gift. Typically, I don't place much importance on celebrating my birthday, but after they asked me multiple times, I mentioned that I could use a new pair of AirPods. Since my parents are in a different country and not very technologically inclined, they transferred the money to my bank account so that I could purchase them. Around the same time, my wife was going to the US for a work trip. I asked her if I could order the AirPods from Amazon and have them delivered to her US address because they were significantly cheaper there, and she agreed. A few days later, during a video call with my wife who was already in the US, I noticed that she was wearing AirPods. She used to have her own pair, which she misplaced, but she hadn't used them in a while. I asked her if these were my birthday gift, to which she casually replied yes. Normally, I wouldn't mind if it were a t-shirt or some other item, but she knows how much I enjoy technology and the excitement of unboxing and tinkering with gadgets. It may sound silly for an adult, but these AirPods were my first pair, and I'd been really looking forward to them. In the heat of the moment, I became upset, and she explained that she had only opened them to test for any potential issues that would require a return. I asked her why she didn't ask me, or at least unbox them together on a video call, and she simply said it didn't occur to her. She is still on her work trip and has been using my AirPods on and off for the past 10 days, despite our conversation. I know I'll get them back as soon as she returns. She apologized last week and said she would make it up to me, but I can't help feeling irritated. It no longer feels like a birthday gift, and my excitement has diminished. I even considered suggesting that she keep this pair since she doesn't have one and buy me a new pair instead. Am I being unreasonable or overreacting in this situation? It is understandable that you feel disappointed and irritated in this situation. Your wife agreed to let you order the AirPods as your birthday gift, and it is disappointing that she decided to use them before you had the chance to enjoy unboxing and using them yourself. Additionally, she's been using them for 10 days despite the conversation you had. It is reasonable for you to feel that the gift has lost its specialness and excitement. However, it is important to communicate your feelings to your wife calmly and have an open discussion about how this affected you. Am I the antagonist for not backing down on my father-in-law's blackmail? My husband, 28, and I, 28, recently welcomed our first baby girl, who is now 8 months old. In our culture, it is customary to name babies after our parents as a way to honor them. If it's a boy, we typically choose a name from the husband's side of the family, the husband's father, and if it's a girl, we go with a name from the wife's side, the wife's mother. However, many families opt to use names from the husband's side regardless of the baby's gender. From the start of my pregnancy, I made it clear that I didn't want to choose a name from either my mother or my mother-in-law, and my husband agreed. We have good relationships with both of them, but we didn't want to potentially upset anyone or choose names that we found too common. However, after our daughter was born, my husband and I had a change of heart and decided to name her after our mothers. This decision caused significant conflicts between us for the past 7 months, but eventually, we decided to write both names on separate pieces of paper and choose one randomly. The chosen name happened to be my mother's. Initially, my husband felt a little sad, but as we started calling our daughter by her name, he warmed up to it. After 7 months, we made peace with our decision. Then the next day, my husband visited his family and announced the chosen name. My mother-in-law had no issues with it. She just wanted her grandbaby to be happy and healthy. She's sweet and kind. However, my father-in-law declared that if we didn't use his wife's name, he would not attend our wedding or our baby's baptism. He's generally selfish and manipulative. When my husband came home and told me what happened, I didn't want to see them fight, so I suggested combining both names to please both sides. My mother-in-law's and my mother's names blend well together, and we were happy with this compromise. But when my husband told them the following day, his father responded with the same ultimatum and added that he didn't want to see us anymore. This made me furious because I don't believe he has any right to have an opinion on our baby's name. I'm not sure what to do now. My husband is very upset and doesn't want to fight with his father, but I don't want to change the name. He also doesn't want to change it, because that wouldn't be fair to me, but he's afraid of losing his father's relationship. I'm upset because I've compromised so much, yet he hasn't budged. After their last conversation, I decided that I won't visit his father until he apologizes, and he won't see our baby anymore. I am, of course, open to the rest of the family visiting us. Am I the a-hole for refusing to change our baby's name? You and your husband initially agreed not to name your baby after either of your mothers, which was a decision you both made together. It seems like you both had valid reasons for not wanting to choose between your mother's names and decided on a different approach. Your father-in-law's reaction and ultimatum are unreasonable and manipulative. It's not fair for him to demand that you change the name of your child to appease him. You have the right to choose a name that you both like and feel comfortable with. It's understandable that you are upset and frustrated with your father-in-law's behavior. Standing your ground and maintaining boundaries with him is important, particularly when it comes to his disrespectful behavior towards you and your child. Am I the antagonist for not wanting to watch my brother's kids on our family vacation? I am currently on vacation with my immediate family. I am a 30-year-old female, and my 2 brothers are in their late 30s. Both of them are married and have a total of 5 kids, ranging in age from 3 to 9 years old. Our parents are also here, and I am accompanied by my boyfriend of 2 years. We have been here for a week and have been having a great time so far. We have planned activities on some days and a few free days as well. We have been discussing the trip in a group chat for months, so we were aware of which days were filled with activities and which were free. My boyfriend and I had planned a romantic dinner for one of the free nights at a really nice restaurant on the island. We made a reservation months in advance because it fills up quickly. As I was getting ready to go out, one of my sisters-in-law made a comment about me dressing up to stay in. I was confused and asked her to explain. She then mentioned that she, my brother, and my other married brother and his wife were planning a couple's spa evening experience that they had booked a few days ago, and they needed me and my boyfriend to watch all of their kids. Apparently, my brother was supposed to ask me earlier in the day but forgot. When I explained that my boyfriend and I already had plans, she didn't show any sympathy. She mentioned that they had already paid for the spa experience, and since we hadn't paid for the dinner yet, it wouldn't make sense for them to cancel their plans. However, I never agreed to watch their kids. While I love my nieces and nephews, my family knows that I have chosen not to have children, and this has been a point of disagreement for a while. I wouldn't have minded watching them if I had been given advance notice, but it was frustrating to suddenly have this responsibility placed on me when I had plans with my boyfriend. My sister-in-law argued that I couldn't understand her need for time away from her kids because I don't have any of my own. She accused me of being selfish and said I could handle being a mom for one night. But that's not the point. If she had asked me months ago before my boyfriend and I made dinner plans, I would have agreed. I checked and we won't be able to get another reservation before we leave. My parents walked in on our argument and they eventually offered to watch the kids. They had planned to attend a free concert on the beach together, but decided to cancel so that someone could take care of the children. I felt guilty, but my mom insisted. Now it's the next day, and my sister-in-law won't even look at me. I'm angry with her as well, but we're stuck here for a week, so I don't know what to do. My mom thinks I should apologize, but I believe that I am the one owed an apology. Am I the asshole? You're not obligated to drop your plans and watch your nieces and nephews on such short notice, especially when you had already made reservations for a special dinner with your boyfriend. It was unfair of your brother to forget to ask you and expect you to change your plans. Your sister-in-law's comment about how you should handle one night of being a mom was insensitive and dismissive of your personal choices. Your parents stepping in to watch the kids was a reasonable solution, and it was their choice to cancel their own plans for the sake of family harmony. You are not at fault for this situation and do not owe anyone an apology. It would be appropriate, however, to have a conversation with your brother and sister-in-law to address the issue and clarify your boundaries when it comes to childcare responsibilities. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.